Greetings, brethren. Habsburger Donkey here, and a bit of a worse audio quality today because I'm in a larger room with more reverb. But I promised that I was gonna show off my Carthaginian army that I painted in 2019, mostly in 2019. And since my back is busted, by the way, if anybody is interested, I have confirmation now. It is a herniated disc. So recovery is going to take a while, but I'm sure I'll be fine in the end. But yeah, I thought I'd show off the army because it's like one of the only things I can do at the moment. And even that is, I'm going to have to hurry. But yeah, this is my army. I'm going to give you a nice look of the whole thing. It's going to be a bit difficult with the light. I'm going to have to, this is a bit jury-rigged, this whole thing. It keeps going over there. Let's see, make sure that... Alright, we're gonna start with this division here in the middle. This is the division I painted first. When I started this project, it was kind of supposed to be a both sides project for Hail Caesar, so I started off with a maniple of Romans. I sold those in the meantime. I painted a full maniple of Romans and I decided to sell them because I didn't really like the miniatures afterwards. I did the Roman maniple with Gema miniatures, and then I started my Carthaginians and used Victrix, and they don't really fit together particularly well. Victrix are very stocky, chunky figures, very much in these sort of kind of slightly heroic historical style that's become more or less standard. And the Agema figures are very, very slight and slender. And I actually have a few in the command stands here in the back that I'll show you. And they're fine in the command stands, but they just don't really work with the rest of the army. The army is mostly Victrix. There are some figures from other companies. For example, the Gauls over here have some warlord Gauls in them because while I like the Victrix kits and their prices are great, when you make this many warbands, their very samey poses become very boring very quickly. Because if you look at these are all Victrix figures. Let me actually, put this there and then bring up the light a little bit. If you look at these are all the Victrix Gauls, and they all have their right arm raised in sort of attacking motion and their left arm forward for the shield. And it just gets really boring. You can see this entire unit here is Victrix Gauls with their shirts on, because these are not supposed to be Gauls, they're supposed to be Ligurians, who are Gaul-like, but not as rich, more hill tribey, so they got a lot of long hair and stuff. And you can see, if all the warbands looked like this, in my opinion, it would look incredibly boring. It wouldn't really look like a warband. And so I added some warlord figures here to make that more interesting. Also, over there, let me swing the light over. This unit right here is Aventine. So that is my only full metal unit, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, we'll start with these. I started with this unit actually, a unit of Carthaginian veterans. The light situation is going to annoy me, I know. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit better. I decided to go with a pretty simple way of painting them. I didn't fuss around too much. Their skin has some washing and layering, but everything else is basically just a base coat and washes. And then I did free-handed designs on the shields because I was too stingy to buy shield transfers. And when I had started, I didn't want to use shield transfers because it would have looked too different. So I decided to just freehand the whole army's shields. I probably will never do that again because it's a horrific amount of work. But I did it for this army, so there's that. The next thing I painted is this unit right here. Let's get a stand of them. These are Libyan hoplites. And so I gave them longer spears to show that they're hoplites. They're probably a bit too long actually, but I don't know, I still like them. And they're a phalanx in Hail Caesar, so they are the only unit that, well, the only non-Gaul unit that has 2 rows of bases. Let's see if I can get that back. All right. And yeah, and then next I painted my only elephant. I only have one singular elephant, which I guess is a bit meager, a bit sad. And as you can see, I stole a thing from von Ketteringham, where I put the dates on the bottom now when I painted stuff, just to have an idea at the end. And yeah, so these I painted in December of 2018, and these other ones I started, I think, in October, but I didn't really do very much, like 3 units in that year, and the rest was all done in 2019, so... Yeah, so this elephant, again with hand-painted shields. This one is fashionably crooked. The other one is a bit less crooked. Gave them sort of Libyan crew. You'll find a lot of very different helmets, some of them not particularly appropriate, like this Hellenistic helmet. I don't think that would have been particularly popular with the Carthaginians. I don't know. It might be, but yeah. It's definitely a project that I learned a lot while I did it. About basing large historical armies, about researching and all this sort of stuff. So I made a lot of mistakes with this that I would definitely not do again, but that'll be for a next project, because I'm not redoing anything for this army. The only thing I'm considering is adding a few more elephants, because in Hail Caesar, elephants act on their own, but I don't really like that, and it doesn't really... It's kind of... I find it too strong in-game. Like, their stats aren't great, but they're also really cheap. And the small frontage that one elephant has, I mean, this is a wide base that I gave this elephant, right? And even this is just such an advantage to have something, well, even with that amount of power on such a small base. So I'm really considering getting more elephants, but I don't know. I'm a bit tired of this project, so I don't know if I really want to do that. I also have a ton of skirmishers. Most of these are from the... Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. Most of these are from the Victrix Warriors of Carthage set, and they come with a bunch of skirmishers. So I just made them up as Libby Phoenician skirmishers. They're not very different from my Numidians that I have. Except that I gave the Libby Phoenicians, since they live a bit further south and are... Yeah, I don't know, I gave them darker skin. For my Numidians, as you can see, I went with a more sort of Middle Eastern look, because, well, at least from what I've read, that seems to be more historically accurate, that they weren't actually, because you see a lot of them painted up, especially even on the official Victrix stuff, where they're painted up as Black Africans, and I've read that maybe this comes from a confusion as to thinking that they are Nubians and not Numidians, but Numidians are Berber people, which are certainly more Semitic than they are Black Africans. So I went with this. Yeah. What else do I have? Right, I think, yeah, I already showed them, so the Numidians is what I painted next, the Numidian cavalry. I did one box of them, as you can see here. That's, well, one bag, I should say. Victrix figures come in bags more so than boxes. And that's 12, and I sorted them out in 3 units of 4 each, which makes a small unit in Hail Caesar. I decided to go with 4 stands of 2 each, so 8 in total, as you can see in the back here, whoops, for the medium and heavy cavalry, although I only have 1 unit of medium cavalry. And so 1 box got me 3 units, which I was pretty happy with, because it really quickly set up another. When I was doing these, I was kind of at a spot where I thought, I kind of just want to get through this project. So I painted up a box of Numidian cavalry because I thought, hey, that's most of a cavalry division already done. Then next I did a crazy thing, and it is, oops, sorry. As I said, the setup is a bit wonky, so yeah, apologize for any of the noises that moving the camera around makes. Let's get this sturdy, there we go, and the light. Yeah, and I painted all of these Gauls at the same time. This is, I think it was 96 Gall figures in total. And I did that because I just kind of wanted to test certain principles that I was working on with speed painting techniques and all that sort of thing. So I just wanted, and I also wanted to see how long it would actually take me to paint 100 figures as quickly as possible. The answer, by the way, is 40 hours. It took me 40 hours to paint all of this. Well, 40 work hours, obviously, over, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. And it gave me some great insights because the actual painting of just the figures took less than 20 hours. And the vast majority of the time was actually spent on doing the basing and on doing the shields. Obviously, with the shields being freehands, that took some time, but I spent a surprising amount of time. I think it was something like 16 hours in total just doing the bases. And so after that, I was like, all right, I need to sort out a better basing technique in the future, because this is very much sort of my old school basing of how I learned it since I was a kid with Warhammer. So put some filler down to even out the raised bases, then put sand on, seal the sand with watered down PVA glue, then paint it, wash it, dry brush it, put on the tufts, and yeah, it just made me realize how long that process actually takes. So yeah, after this project, I immediately went away from that, and I don't think I'm ever gonna do that ridiculously long process again. So what we have here is 1 unit of light infantry. I decided for light infantry I was only going to do 3 figures per 40 by 40 base to make them look a bit lighter as well. And the others are 3 war bands, regular sized war bands of Celtiberians. And for the Celtiberians, what I did, as you can see with this base, is I actually kit bashed them a little bit with the Iberian kits from Victrix. So I took, also the Warlord Gauls, as you can see here. This one is a Warlord Gaul with a, I want to say, an Iberian head, wearing one of those Roman legionary style helmets. Then this is also a Warlord Gall with a Victrix Gall head, and they go together pretty decently. I don't think it really, looks off. I think it looks fine, but in hindsight, this was just not a sensible thing to do, really, because my further research kind of shows that, or at least I think so, from what I can tell. I don't think Celtiberians looked all that Gaul-ish. Some figure companies make them look like Gauls, but I think they just kind of looked like Iberians, just a bit wilder, I suppose. I think they were just kind of all the same thing. I don't know. It's a bit hard to tell. There's not that much info on them, but I mean, there's a lot of info on the Spanish, but not specifically on Celtiberians. So I honestly think the Celtiberians might not even have fought as warbands. I think they might also just have fought the same way, just as Scutari or Scutarii and Cetratii. Cetratii, is that what? Whatever. Cetratii and Scutarii. They're Roman terms anyway. Yeah, and I also freehanded all of these shields, including the checker patterns on some of these shields. And I had a good time with it. I'm not super happy with some of them. I think some of them look a bit too garish. Like, I think this lad here with his red shirt and his lime green pants, I think I went a bit too far there, but I don't know. I was speed painting, so I just kind of wanted to get these guys done. I do like the striped pants that I did, but yeah, I don't know. I think some research beforehand would have been better to sort of avoid this, because now they kind of look like a mix of Gauls and Spanish on the same base, which, yeah, I'm not so sure about. But anyway, they're finished. It's a nice big horde of Gauls with. I don't wanna stand up if at all possible. So I'm just gonna try to zoom in. Oh yeah, that actually works somewhat with that command stand. Those are Warlord metal command figures from one of their blister packs. And since we're already doing the zooming, I'm gonna see if we can do the same thing. Maybe? Is it gonna focus? Come on. Come on. There we go. These are actually Agema figures that I was talking about. Apart from that guy in the back with the green, this one, the guy with the green tunic, that is a leftover Numidian body I had, and I gave him a helmet with a crest, made him look plenty Carthaginian, I thought. And yeah, I don't like the Agema metal figures. They are a bit soft on detail. I don't really know why, because whenever I see their greens, they look amazing. But then when I have the actual figures, I'm just so disappointed with them, and they're not particularly fun to paint. I also have Hannibal here, again, an Agema figure, and I just don't like them. This one I had a real hard time with, and I'm sure by the time I put him back in the box, this bloody banner is going to break off again, because the hands on the Agema figures are so flimsy, and for some reason they gave me a spindly thin standard in two hands. So he comes without hands, and the standard is a flimsy little rod of tin in two flimsy little hands. So that was totally pointless, and I tried my best to save it by swapping it with some wire, but it is just not doing its job. It's terrible. So yeah, I can't recommend Agema figures. I know some people are happy with them, but I'm sorry. I would love to recommend them, because I kind of want all miniature manufacturers to do good, but I would never buy Agema again. That's just my takeaway. All right, and then after I was done with the Gauls, I decided that everything I was going to paint from then on was going to be as high quality as possible. Or, well, back to the original high quality, I guess, of the Carthaginian division that I painted. Oops, sorry. And so I did these Gall cavalry right here. And I think they're some of the best figures in the army. I spent a long time painting these. See if we can get a focus. There we go. So they all have patterns on their cloth, and they have lovely free-handed shields. Sorry if my voice is getting a bit shaky. The pain is starting to be a thing, so I'm gonna have to wrap up soon. Yeah, I'm really happy with these. I absolutely despise painting tartan, I realized, with these. So I'm sort of actively trying to not have tartan in any future projects, because I just really don't want to do it again. It's just horrible. Which also means I'm probably never going to do a full Gaul army. It's just not for me. And then lastly, as the camera is already pointing at them, this is what I did last. This was basically, well, including the Gall cavalry, this was my pledge toward the end of 2019. I was sort of some point in November, I decided before the end of the year, I want to finish the whole project. And so I painted up the cavalry I showed you. A bunch of these command stands in the back I painted up as well. I painted up these skirmishers, these Numidians here, which I didn't do much to. I still painted them up in a decent quality. I actually used a lot of contrast paints for the skin for these Numidians. So they were more of a quick job. And then I painted up in the back here 2 units of Samnites. These are also Victrix Samnite figures. And what I did is I just bought 1 pack of unarmored and 1 pack of armored and mixed them together to make medium infantry Italians for Hail Caesar. And I gave them the mixed shields, and I didn't do anything to them. What I should say is the one thing I did to the whole army is I swapped their spears. All of these spears that you can see are wire spears. I used these thinner ones, which are probably more intended for 15 mil, as javelins, and then the thicker ones that are usually sold as like wire pikes, I used them for spears. Because the one thing I don't like about Victrix is their spindly thin spears. They break all the time. I broke a bunch of the Libyan hoplite spears, for example, which are actually rather short, so they don't really protrude over their heads very much, but I still broke probably 3 of them before they were done painting. And that's when I decided, all right, no more of this nonsense, and I just swapped them all for wire spears. And I think I'm going to do that in the future as well, even if I do get plastic figures. Yeah, and then lastly, I saw these on the Aventine website. These are their Italian hill tribes, and I absolutely love these figures. They are so gorgeous. So I got a whole unit of these. It was my first full, like, large unit of all metal figures, and I really love it. It's probably my favorite part of the army. I did take pretty good care in painting them well. I didn't do as many cloth patterns as I did with the Samnites. As you can see with the Samnites, I did quite a lot of patterns on their cloth to make them look Samnite-y and fancy. Didn't do this with these guys, but I still gave them colorful tunics. I would absolutely recommend Aventine figures, although if you do combine them with Victrix, be careful, because as you can see, they are a little bit bigger. They are quite chunky and quite large, especially with these earlier Victrix figures. It's not as bad with the newer ones. As you can see, these ones don't look too bad, but they are definitely a bit slighter and a bit smaller. The Aventine figures are really chunky and big, but they're great. I really like them, and I would absolutely recommend them. So let me give you another... Oh yeah, and there's also... Let's see if we can get there. Command base for my allied Italians is also from Aventine Miniatures, and it's the... Come on, focus. It's the Hill Tribes command set, and I'm really happy with them as well. Lessons from this whole project. Oh my god, the video is 24 minutes. Well, I hope somebody is still watching. Lessons, basing. I'm gonna change the basing next time. View of the whole army. It's pretty sizable. Definitely gonna change the basing in the future. I'm probably gonna, as you can see on this unit, this is going to be a full unit in the future, so just 4 bases, although I'm probably just going to do 2, so 80mm frontage for one base, and then have 2 as a normal unit, one of them as a small unit. Yeah, I just think that's better. I think the... not that it really matters in Hail Caesar to be able to have different formations, but it's easier to paint a whole army that way, and... yeah. Also, oh yeah, one more thing that I definitely learned as well, especially with these Aventine lads. I am absolutely gonna go for a 50mm base depth. I think 40mm width is fine. It produces a kind of sort of shield wall look that I like. but the depth is really a problem. I really had to do some trickery and some chicanery, as you can see here on these ones, that they would even fit together on the base. And then, you know, I had to twist them around a little bit. And there is definitely also only one configuration these bases go in together. And that's just not good. So in the future, I'm gonna, for one Hail Caesar unit, I'm gonna go for 80mm frontage by 50mm depth. That gives enough space to do rows and all that. So yeah, hope you liked it. Really have to stop now because my battery is gonna run out in a second. Yeah, hope you like my videos, and hope to see more stuff from you guys as well. And once my back is fine again, I'm sure I'll paint new stuff as well, and maybe add some more elephants to this collection. Alright, thanks for watching, and take care guys. Bye bye.